welcome back. So this is a custom glitter mix that I made for this particular project. Now I am in Made by Manny and Mallory Pagnotta's Patreon Elite group, and she had a challenge this month that was for geometric and floral, or like animal print, a combination of those two. And so I actually had this idea in my mind for a Great Gatsby cup, and so I thought this would be the perfect time to combine those two. So I combined a bunch of glitters that I wanted a rose gold, but I also wanted a gold look more to it. I wanted a more traditional old-fashioned rose gold look instead of, you know, the pinky, really rosy look to them. So I added a bunch of Chase Ray, different rose golds and golds, and then I added some PDB gold as well, sand dunes, I think, and then I just mixed it up. Now I put it in these little containers that I get at Walmart, and I just put all the names on there so that if I ever needed to recreate it, or I needed to tell somebody like you guys, I'll have the list. So there it is. So beautiful. So starting out with a 20-ounce screw top from Craft Haven, I painted it gold because, once again, I wanted more of a gold look than the pinky rosy look of the gold. So I thought if I combined those two and put the gold at the back, that I was going to get that real antique-y look. And that's where, you know, that's what I wanted with that Great Gatsby look, was just this old antique-y kind of shimmer and look to the gold. And you've seen me do this many times, especially lately. I've been doing a lot of stuff like this, but you know, I just poured it on there with a little bit of epoxy underneath and patted the bottom, or got the bottom covered, and then I took a little bit off there when I was doing the parchment papers, because I didn't wait. It's just, you should probably wait a little bit for it to dry, just a tad, and then you pat it down, but I was in a hurry, and so I started doing it quicker. So I just took the leftovers there and spread it back on the cup, and then patted it down a little bit easier that time so that I didn't lose anything. And then I am using the glitter glue from Artistry Epoxy. Now this is a really awesome sealer. I haven't used it very much to apply glitter on, just because I'm like old-fashioned with the epoxy method, and so I haven't done that. But as far as a sealer, it's very, very good, and I wanted this to be, you know, sealed up, and I wanted to be able, because I knew I was going to have to put a lot of coats of epoxy, so I wanted to make sure that first coat had a good sealer underneath of it. And after that glitter glue dried, I let it dry probably a couple of hours, and then I went into our first coat of epoxy. Now I'm going to probably put about 20 milliliters of epoxy on this, because that first, when you have that raw glitter, even if it's sealed, it still kind of soaks up a little bit more epoxy than you would normally use on your other coats. So I always usually end up having to put a thicker coat on that first one. But with that glitter glue, it does help a lot with like fish eyes and things like that. So definitely will suggest, you know, definitely suggest sealing the glitter. It makes a big difference, and that glitter glue from Artistry Epoxy makes a big difference as well. So after that first coat, went right into a second coat of epoxy, and I sanded it down, and I'm getting ready for this part here. Now I did a measurement of the entire cup after I did the epoxy, because that's very important, because after you put those coats of epoxy on there, it will be a thicker cup. It will be a little bit thicker and a little bit longer, you know, so you want to make sure you're measuring it at the point in which you are going to put the removable vinyl and the piece on there. And this is removable vinyl. I always get it in like the ugliest colors, and that way I'll know. And then also the removable vinyl at this place that I go to, in the store by my house, the little dot, the little, I guess, where you feed it through the printers, something, I don't know why they have those, but that's how I also know that it is removable vinyl. So this image I got off of Creative Fabrica, and it was perfect for the Art Deco look that I wanted. Now my first thought was that I was going to do this where I was going to peel off the bigger piece and leave the little lines on there to do more of a peekaboo. Well, it just did not work with the lines were so thin. And so I ended up just removing all of the thin lines and leaving the bigger pieces. And so that way I could just do the lines on this, the look of this, instead of the peekaboo look where, you know, where all of these lines are right now would have been the glitter coming through. Instead, we made it to where it was the black paint all on all of those lines. But when I tell you this is the first of many problems that I had with my design and it not working the way that I thought it would, I would be lying, because it literally was started with this. Like the very first thing was this, and then it was the next thing, and then it was the next thing, and then it was the next thing. And I thought, this isn't meant to be. This is not meant to be. But it eventually, I think, worked out very beautifully, and I was very pleased with the results. But I tell you what, sometimes, guys, this is just, it's hard work. It's hard work being a designer and trying to figure these things out sometimes. But I had a vision in my head, and then that, you know, visions sometimes just do not come out the way you want it. Anyways, as I'm blabbing and blabbing and blabbing, I cut off the outside of that, you know, and I did actually cut out some of those lines because the lines came out, they were a little bit too thin. My Cricut didn't cut it right. So I kind of went in and just kind of sliced them a little bit wider so that I had all the lines in, you know, that needed to be there. So then I applied a transfer tape and I stuck it on there. I mean, this is something I've done, I'm sure you've done, that basically we're going to be doing a peekaboo, but it's going to be a little bit of the opposite of a peekaboo because we're going to be using those thin lines as our base for our, you know, black paint. And what I was doing right there is make sure before you push down on the end of the transfer tape that the other side of that vinyl is up and underneath, and so you're not putting that vinyl on top of the transfer paper sticker, because then you will have a bigger mess. And yeah, don't do that, because I've done it and it's not good. So we're just going to remove this as easy as I thought it was going to be, but you know, nothing about this cup was easy, I'll tell you that. Nothing at all. So anyways, I removed the transfer tape, and then I took it outside and gave it a good spray paint of flat black spray paint. Actually, before that, I had to do a little bit of finagling. I had some things that were paper and things were not exactly, as you can see, they were kind of curled up. So I had to kind of lift it up and get it straight, because you don't want to go and spray paint something like this on the outside, you know, if it's got little bubbles and things, because that paint's going to get right up underneath there. So I just had to fix some of those pieces and kind of cut a few little lines that were, you know, a little bit too thin to kind of show off that black. And so this is what I just wanted to kind of show y'all an up close look of what I was doing so that you could kind of understand. But and then also to make sure that if you do have bubbles in your vinyl, make sure you get those out before you go outside and spray paint it. So ta-da! We went outside and spray painted it. And then I let it sit in front of my heater. I have a heater outside on a workbench that I just sit there and I just turn it on whenever I have something painted. And then usually about 20-30 minutes later, I can come out there and do a peely, as Mallory likes to say. This one was a little bit easier to peel up because there really wasn't that much. There was all just those tiny lines instead of like the big sections of black, because we were basically removing all of those. So obviously I have this sped up. I was not going this fast, but I was taking my time and being careful, but I didn't have to be as careful because we had those bigger sections of vinyl that were covered in black that I could kind of scrape and pull up. So it was actually pretty easy to do this, and I had it done pretty quickly. The only problem was they were all sticking to me when I got done. So the only reason I left this in here was because this was my first attempt out of the 3 attempts that did not work. And then when I went to the final design that you will see in the end, but this was my idea in the very beginning, was the idea that there was like a lace overlay. Now I had this vision, and those dresses when they're like in the 1920s where they had like this kind of lacy floral overlay, and I really wanted that look, and I thought it would be kind of cool to have that Art Deco look. And when I was putting this on, I knew it was really dark, and I thought maybe when I put it on, the water slide it won't show that much, but it was just too black. I needed to like tone down the color or something. Maybe it would have worked, but maybe it was just too much. Maybe it was just too busy with the look of the Art Deco and then the lace on there. But I had a vision. I just could not figure out how to make it work. So removing that, throwing that away, I did a print and cut with some flowers, and I was going to do the flowers on top, and then I did a water slide of the same flowers, and I thought I was going to do that on there, but it was not dark enough to show up on this little bit darker, I guess, glitter. And so I went back to the drawing board, went back to Creative Fabrica, and I found this look, and these flowers were like an antique vintage floral or something like that. And I thought, okay, this might give me the look that I'm going for. And so I obviously I had it cut on some paper that I got from Vinyl Cottage. It was in some kind of mystery box that I got over Halloween, and I never used it, but I thought it would be perfect because it actually is a little bit thin. It's like kind of see-through almost in a way, and so I thought it would be perfect to look kind of like a lace overlay. And so this was exactly what I needed to do, or what was going to happen with this thing, because in the end nothing else worked. So this was what I was meant to do. So I went in and did that first strip in the middle, and then I thought, I can't leave it with just the middle part. I should have either done it bigger or done it wider or something like that. So then I thought, you know what, I'll take that same piece and I'll just do it like it's on the top and the bottom. So I will do I'll do half of it on one end and half of it on the other, right? The top and the bottom. So that way it will look like, it's kind of overlaid in sections, right? So it's got, kind of a pattern, I guess, if you will. And so I did put a coat of epoxy on this afterwards. And then I just went back and sanded it, did whatever I needed to do to it, and then went and cut these two, in half, cut that one look in the image, in the middle in half, and then put it on the top and the bottom. And I just cleaned that with alcohol, and I knew I was going to be painting the bottom black and painting the top a little piece of it black, because that was actually how it was designed in the beginning. But it did not manage to, after I sanded it and all of the stuff, all that kind of came off, and the bottom was just not up to par. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just put this a little bit ways up, and it had a lot of things going on, and so it wasn't too worried about it being exactly perfectly straight, but I did try to be as straight as I could. And see, I think in the end, I think this was probably what was meant to be, because it just worked out. I think it gave me the look that I was looking for. So I decided once again that I would rhinestone this screw top lid. And I will tell you, I don't know if rhinestone's for me. I just don't know if it's for me. This pack that I got off of Amazon, it gave me that really perfect antique gold look, rose gold kind of look that I wanted. And this time I thought I'm going to do a scatter method, because I thought maybe that would look better. Listen, you know what? If you can do rhinestoning, then more power to you. I wish you the best. I hope the best for you, but I just don't know. I don't know how many times I'm going to do this again, because I just don't think it turned out all that great. But I mean, whatever. It's there. It's done. I did it. I wanted to show y'all. I wanted to give you the idea that I had in my head, was that I wanted the screw top to have like the rhinestones, and I wanted it to be kind of antique-y looking. So here I am doing it again, trying to make it work with the scatter method. And so I just poured all of those sizes excuse me, into that tray, and then I just went around and just kind of squeezed them in where they fit in, you know. And this took me a couple of days, only because I don't know if the scatter method is better or worse, because I feel like I was having to put so many stones because I was trying to figure out where they all would place in and fit them in right. And so I don't know if I like it. Definitely didn't like the look of it better, but like I said, I did it. I finished it. It's there. It's, you know, it is what it is. I probably in the future, if I made this, I would not even bother with doing the stones. But I don't know. Maybe I need to take a class. Maybe I need to find some Patreon group or something that does stones, because I'm just I'm not as successful as I thought I might be with them. And like I said, this took me a couple of days because, like I said, I really think that it took me a lot longer to do this. And I did open up 2 packages. I did buy 2 packages just in case. And I opened up both of them because I needed some bigger stones. And I don't think there was enough bigger stones. So I ended up having to use a lot of the smaller stones. And then that smaller stone, you know, I just think it just didn't take up as much space. So therefore, I was just adding stone after stone after stone after stone. So take my warning, do what you want, do what you will. You're a grown woman, man, you can do it if you want to. But this is my opinion, and this is how long it took me, and this is what it looked like. So, anyways, I will jump to the next step. You know, I just deleted 3 of these videos that I had even shortened down and sped up because it just took a long time. And I thought I had edited out quite a bit of it, but I just deleted 3. So I just want you to know, it took a long time. I cut and edited and cut and edited, and then there's another one. And, yeah, and then I had to do the whole sides. Yeah. Anyway, now we'll move on to the next step. So I took some electrical tape because it does work beautifully when you are trying to wrap around a tumbler and you are trying to get a solid, you know, good seal to where you're not going to get any paint underneath. It is really the best, and it just conforms to any shape or size. That's my favorite. So I use that, and then I will go in with the painter's tape to cover it up so that I do not get any overspray on the rest of the cup. So you can see that there's a black line there that is kind of there, and then it's kind of like not there, and then it's kind of there. And so I wanted to make sure that that black line was showing up. I didn't want to use a vinyl because I really thought that the paint needed to kind of match, or the black kind of needed to match the color that was already there with all of the geometric look. So I just said I can paint it, and I was going to paint the bottom anyway. So as I was doing it at the same time, I figured I would just paint the top. And as you can see here, I am taking the tape and putting it on my shirt just to kind of get some of the stickiness. And I don't know if this is what you should be doing, but I feel like if it's too sticky, that you run the possibility of maybe pulling up some of that epoxy if it's not exactly cured just enough. And so I just take some of the sticky off because I don't need it to be sticky. I need to be able to remove this very quickly, and I've already made sure that the places where I was going to paint were sealed, so the rest of it just needed to have a cover on it. So anyways, I took that outside, gave it a paint, put it under my heater, and I am using Artistry Epoxy 1-to-1 fast set. Now, I will have to tell you that this stuff is pretty amazing. You can use it as a final coat. It has UV protectors in there, and it dries within like 2 hours. I was handling these cups, and by like 4 or 5 hours, I literally was like, well, I think I'm done here. I don't need to do anymore. And it was so fast and easy. Now, I will say that I mixed up about 60 milliliters, and I was straining to work it in the very end, because you don't get that much time to work with it like you do with a regular epoxy. So you kind of have to be ready to go and put it on your cup and start working, you know? And so after this, I just hit it with my torch to kind of pop any bubbles, and I got a beautiful finish with this gorgeous fast set. And like I said, this is a game changer if you've got something that you need to get done very quickly, or like these videos, if I want to film something a lot quicker, this is going to be very helpful. Link in the comments down below, or in the bio, or whatever it's called. Links in the description. What is wrong with me and my words? Anyways, there she is. Doesn't she look very antique and old and like, I don't know. Like if they had tumblers back in the 1920s, I feel like this is something that somebody would have wanted, right? Anyways, thank you, Mallory, for your wonderful inspiration, your challenges every month. They do challenge me to the nth degree. This one was no exception. But anyways, if you do recreate this, please tag me. Please like and subscribe down below and comment and all of that. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.